The Lexus GS focuses more on comfort than sporty handling to win over executive saloon customers. Stacks of equipment come as standard and advanced technology is everywhere, especially in the GS450H hybrid model. The lack of a diesel would deter some, but the GS is a great alternative to the usual German names. The task of making headway in the executive car sector without a German badge is notoriously difficult. We've seen some impressive products from Jaguar, Volvo and Lexus over the years, but by and large they haven't achieved the kind of sales success they've deserved. With the revised GS range, Lexus reckons it at last has the product to one-up the likes of BMW, Mercedes and Audi. To counter diesel-powered executive rivals, Lexus has put its faith for this car in high-tech petrol and hybrid technology. Now, the engine range for the GS lineup starts with the 3-litre V6 found in the GS300. It packs 245 brake horsepower and makes rest to 60 in 7.2 seconds, so it isn't slow. The GS430 has been replaced by the markedly more powerful GS460, packing a 4.6-litre petrol engine that develops a 342 brake horsepower wallop. Now that translates into a 5.5 second sprint to 60 time, but the highlight of the range remains the GS450H hybrid model that I'm driving here. Now this uses a 3.5-litre V6 petrol engine combined with electric power, courtesy of the hybrid Synergy drive system. And despite its 292 brake horsepower output, it manages to be the most economical model in the GS range, despite being only marginally slower than the GS460. On the road, the GS is silky smooth, the suspension easing over undulations and obliterating imperfections in the road surface. The ride is less composed at lower speeds, but once into its stride, the GS is imperious. The only slightly intrusive sound is tyre roar, but it might be the lack of other aural stimuli that elevates this in your consciousness. Now, here come the acronyms. Both Adaptive Variable Suspension, AVS, and Vehicle Dynamic Integrated Management, VDIM, feature on all GS models. The GS460 and the 450H retain the Variable Gear Ratio Steering, VGRS. Now, as well as adopting ABS, this GS benefits from retuned springs and shock absorbers and revised underbody aerodynamics. The GS looks a large car with its long, bulky body. It's also a distinctive one with a steeply raked rear glass that almost suggests a hatchback and the split headlamp arrangement at the front. It's got a ground-hugging stance that makes it definitely sportier to look at than it is to drive. In recent times, the car's styling has been freshened slightly with a chrome surround for the front grille, revised door mirrors with integrated indicators and sleeker door handles. There's also restyled front and rear bumpers with sharper air intakes. Interior space is generous for 4 occupants, but the transmission tunnel is very prominent in the rear, so legroom's restricted for the middle berth occupant. The boot in the GS300 and GS460 models is a little down in terms of size on the class best. And in this GS450H, you've got the battery stored under the boot floor, restricting luggage capacity still further. Still, I do love this self-closing mechanism. Prices have been pitched from just under £35,000 to around £50,000. Figures that you won't be surprised to hear have been targeted directly at rivals like Mercedes E-Class and BMW's 5 Series. The Lexus GS range starts with the GS300, rises through GS460 level and goes on to the GS450 flagship model that I'm looking at here. Now, no GS buyer will find themselves short of gadgets. There's keyless start and entry, there's a 7-inch colour display screen, cruise control, 8-way electrically adjustable front seats, Bluetooth connectivity, climate control and a jack to plug in your iPod. Now, against its German rivals, the GS looks competitively priced, but factor in the additional equipment that you get with the Lexus and it gains a distinct advantage. If you had any doubts about the viability of hybrid technology, then just look at the figures of the GS450H. 36 miles to the gallon on the combined cycle and 186 grams per kilometre of CO2. That's impressive stuff for this class of car. Doubts have been expressed in some quarters about how achievable official hybrid car fuel economy figures are in real-world motoring, especially around town where the car's batteries have little opportunity to recharge. But on paper at least, hybrid certainly looks like a viable alternative to diesel. The GS300 and GS460 models perform pretty much as you'd expect V6 and V8 petrol-powered executive cars to. The GS300 manages 29 miles to the gallon and 232 grams per kilometre of CO2, while the GS460 manages 25.7 miles to the gallon on the combined cycle and 258 grams per kilometre of CO2, both figures superior to the GS430 variant it replaced. Insurance costs, well, they range between groups 16 and 18 depending on the model you choose, and residual values, well, they're only slightly down on those of the German rivals. If the whole raison d'etre of an executive saloon is to convey its executive from A to B in as relaxing and cosseting a manner as possible, then the Lexus GS has got it all. The obsession with sporty that's so prevalent in today's car market is roundly ignored by the GS, and the car's all the better for it. Yes, the German alternatives are more engaging for the keen driver, but the GS is a cocoon that spirits you along, unmolested by the speed humps, contraflows, scabby tarmac and congestion that typify UK road journeys. After a hard day at the office, it's hard to put a price on that. The Lexus GS is an impressive vehicle on so many levels. The syrupy driving experience, the build quality, the equipment, the lofty customer satisfaction ratings, the polished dealer network. It all adds up to a compelling proposition. Because the GS isn't German, that will sound the death knell for some for buying one. But if you can see past the badge, then it's a highly effective vehicle for most of the people, most of the time.